Hi, this is Matthew with RetroEdge.tech, and today I've got a virtual machine open that I've installed in Endeavour OS, and Endeavour OS is an Arch-based Linux distribution. And the reason that I've installed it is to test the BSPWM assist script that I'm working on. And I have, in most of the other versions, I could test it out in the live version, and it would allow me to run the script and then log out, and then I could log into BSPWM in the live version, and that's worked on Manjaro and some Ubuntu-based distributions, Linux, Mint, etc. That didn't work in Endeavour OS as far as being able to log back in with BSPWM. So I just installed it in the virtual machine instead of having it in the live boot. And I think the installer with Endeavour OS, it works a little bit differently than most of the other Linux distributions that I've tried. So I'm thinking that's why that was. But anyway, I have downloaded and actually run my BSPWM assist script. And so I've got it here, and I've run it and I've tested it before I started the video. I made sure that it actually worked. I did want to show you a little bit about what I'm working on as far as, let's see, we'll make this larger here. As far as the logic that I'm starting to work with the shell scripting. So I'll show you a little bit of that. So I'm just going to, with this, I'm going to be able to print out a certain number of lines, and I didn't specify which file. That would be helpful. There we go, and that prints out the number of lines here in the terminal, and that's pretty much got it. And so the things that I wanted, so this isn't the whole script, I just wanted to print out the first part. I have made these functions in bash shell script. And it looks like I have an update. In the apt install, I actually recently updated and put like sudo apt update in this function as well. I just must not have pulled down, I must not have updated that or put the most recent version up for when I downloaded this. But in the pacman install, in order for it to work at all, pacman will err out unless I've done an update. So in that function here, I have put the sudo pacman, and then this updates the package lists, the repository information. And then the next thing is to be able to install without asking for confirmation. So on Ubuntu with the apt package manager or Linux Mint, I can put this -y here that just goes through and installs that without asking for extra confirmation or input. And then for pacman on Arch-based distributions, that --no confirm is what does that. So it just installs without asking confirmation. So I've tested it. It works on Ubuntu and Linux Mint, and it also works on pacman with Arch-based distributions. And I've tested that on Manjaro and now Endeavour OS. So what I'm doing to test to see if it is an Arch-based distribution or an Ubuntu or Linux Mint distribution is I'm saying if a certain file exists, then run this function. And so if pacman exists in the location that it's supposed to, then pacman install will run. If apt exists in the location it's supposed to on Ubuntu or Linux Mint distributions, then run the function apt install. And so it's playing around with just, I was working about how the logic, I was saying, oh, how do I figure out which distribution I'm running the script on? And then I thought, well, I really don't, the reason I would want to know that is to know which package manager I want to use to install the packages I want for the BSPWM assist script. And so I said, well, okay, well, if this particular file or the program exists in the space it's supposed to, if pacman is on the system, it's going to be an Arch-based distribution. If apt is on the system, it's going to be Ubuntu or Debian-based system. So the logic there mostly works. I'm pretty sure there might be some exceptions, but for the vast majority of cases, that's going to be true. If apt is installed, going to be an Ubuntu or Debian-based system. Pacman is installed. It's going to be an Arch or Manjaro or Endeavour OS, an Arch-based system. So I've run the script. I've set it up. Let me show you how this works. So in Endeavour OS, the little log out or power button is down here on the bottom right-hand corner. I'm going to log out, and it takes me to this login screen. And the session switcher up here is up on the top bar right there. And since I've run the BSPWM script and it works, I can check that, and then it changes the little icon up there. And then I can type my password for this virtual machine and then log in. And it just takes me to a blank screen. My script is set up to run the GNOME terminal, and I'll be fixing that. So I'm going to write some if-thens to say, hey, which terminal application is installed, or I might install one in my installer script and then make that the default. So GNOME terminal will launch when I log into BSPWM on, say, Linux Mint or Ubuntu or Manjaro Cinnamon or something like that. When GNOME terminal is installed, it will automatically launch. So it looks like nothing's happened here. It's just a blank screen with a cursor. But I have installed an application launcher and assigned it a keyboard binding so I can actually, type things, with. I opened Firefox by mistake there. Let's say I wanted to. That's this LeafPad installed. Yeah, LeafPad is a text editor, so I can open that. So I've got kind of an application launcher called, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but it's ROFI. Rofi is this application manager or launcher, and I think you can do quite a bit more with it as well. That launches in the middle of the screen when I press a certain key combination, and I can press escape to get that off. I have noticed some differences that the focus, I think this is a newer version of BSPWM than what is installed on Linux Mint. On Linux Mint, that's based on Ubuntu 18.04, it won't switch the window focus if I click on it with the mouse, but it will with my keyboard shortcuts. On newer versions, like in the Arch-based Manjaro and this Endeavour OS that's more recent, I think it's using a more recent version of BSPWM, and I can just click to change the focus between the windows. And then, of course, I can use my keyboard shortcuts as well. So I just wanted to show that I've made some significant progress with BSPWM. The other thing to do is, so the resolution isn't kind of taking up my whole screen. It's in the default. So I can use Rofi, the application launcher, and then I have LXR&R as one of the applications that I install with my script. And then from there, I can choose a different resolution. Let's see if it shows me there. I don't have exactly the one that I'm looking for, and I think, let's try, yep, there it is. Try that one, I'll press apply, and then, yeah, then it automatically kind of resizes the windows. And if I want to do full screen my this, I can go like that, and then it shows it like, hey, that's like using a whole computer. And I could go up here and unfull screen it, etc. So I'm using BSPWM within BSPWM with the virtual machine. So Endeavour OS is on the virtual machine. My main machine is Manjaro. I've got the BSPWM assist script that I'm working on both of them. And let's see, I'll go back to the CD. And I think I can use the keyboard shortcuts, so I can go Control-Shift+, and it'll make the text larger. And then I can go CD downloads, and then I can see the first 25 lines of that file by doing that. And then it'll show me, hey, those are the first 25 lines, and here's the logic of the functions that I wrote, and then the if statements. So if Pacman exists, then run this function. If apt exists, then run that function. It's worked great. It's pretty cool. I'm very happy about it. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.